Much for that wonderful introduction and statement about Randolph-Macon, and I have to tell you, I don't as much lead the way as I get out of the way and let people like Mariah and Peter and the other members of our board for the Arts Council do what they do best, which is support Randolph-Macon. And I want to add my words of thanks to John Luke and Meade-Westvaco for your support, your generous sponsorship of tonight's reception. John, you and Meade-Westvaco and your officers and managers and employees are having a profound impact on our community here in Richmond and beyond, and we thank you for your leadership and great support. Tonight is Tonight is a special night, and we're so pleased that you all can join us in celebrating the vital role of the arts, whose study and appreciation are so essential to any community of learning. I am even more pleased that we've come together in this special and historic place to honor the magnificent achievements of Alexander L. Nyerges and all that he has done to enrich our community. It is a central principle of Randolph-Macon College that art and art education are fundamental to our well-rounded education. The arts act as a sort of window into the boundless possibilities of the human imagination. And energy in the arts creates energy on our campus. Everyone at Randolph-Macon benefits when our students channel their artistic energies, whether by participation in theater, where many, even freshmen and sophomores, have the opportunity to produce, direct, and even write plays, or by their exposure to the Richmond Symphony Orchestra, which Randolph-Macon hosts 4 times a year, the only site in which our wonderful symphony visits so often, leading ourselves to call Randolph-Macon unabashedly the other home of the Richmond Symphony. From student art shows to professional galleries, gallery openings at our Flippo Gallery to concert choir concerts, student recitals, art history lectures, and endowed lectureship presentations, our campus's artistic force is present every day and felt by every student, as well as by our neighbors in the Ashland and Greater Richmond community. And whether our students leave Randolph-Macon as music majors or math majors, all leave RMC prepared to lead bold and creative lives. Once they are in a wider world, however, they, like the rest of us, need places like the Virginia Museum, a place where the only requirement is the willingness to step out of the Richmond hubbub in order to take an hour or 2 or 4 to connect with a common humanity that art so eloquently speaks to. Places like the Virginia Museum are a treasure for the entire community to share. This relationship between education and art, as illustrated by Randolph-Macon and the Virginia Museum, is strong. But our institution's connections go beyond the abstract and manifest themselves in the sharing of some of our greatest supporters. For example, one of the college's earliest and greatest benefactors, John Pattison Branch, who named 2 of our oldest residence halls for his father Thomas and his wife Mary. Mr. Branch was also the father of one of the Virginia Museum's largest benefactors, Margaret Branch Glasgow. Likewise, Paul Miller, whose wife was the daughter and granddaughter of RMC alumni, has provided outstanding support for both organizations. And John Barton Payne, who at around the same time he gave the VMFA its seminal collection, created a scholarship at Randolph-Macon College to open the college students' experience to deserving bright students. And we are particularly pleased to be joined tonight by Mr. Payne's nephew, John Payne, and his wife, Antoinette. Thank you. And even today, there are great people who link our two great institutions. People here tonight, for example, Major and Pam Reynolds, whose efforts have helped tremendously with the expansion of the VMFA and the support of Randolph-Macon College's Purnell Bailey's Pre-Ministerial Scholarship Program, and our own Professor of Archaeology and Ancient Art History, Dr. Beth Fisher, with us tonight along with her husband, Professor John Camp. Dr. Fisher recently completed 2 highly successful 5-year terms on the board of the Virginia Museum. And 2 of the museum's most generous and faithful benefactors, Louise and Harwood Cochran. Louise served on the RMC board from 1988 to 1991 and fittingly lent her artistic eye and talents to the enhancement and beautification of our campus as the chair of our Buildings and Grounds Committee. These and many other individuals have created legacies at RMC and the VMFA, and we are all grateful. And we are also grateful to Alex, who is stewarding these legacies and helping to create new ones as director and CEO of this special museum. I feel a certain kinship with Alex. We both came to Central Virginia about the same time, after both having had important experiences in our earlier lives in Florida. We have bounced around together in buses on Chamber of Commerce intercity trips, and Alex has wowed an audience of Randolph-Macon alumni and students at the museum with his remarkable story of securing the Picasso exhibit, a story that is an absolutely brilliant case study on the importance of relationships and making connections on the way up. I've recounted it to other students many times. Indeed, under the superb leadership of Alexander Nyerges, the scope and mission of the Virginia Museum has been expanded and invigorated. His commitment to education and to the arts has strengthened the fiber of our community's life. He's a wonderful leader who has already done so much for Virginia, and his achievements are many and are great. I will leave it to Peter Rippey to describe them in more detail. Peter Rippey, incidentally, is himself a retired museum director and a former member of the governing body of the American Alliance of Museums. Please join me in welcoming Peter to the stage.
165,000 square foot expansion to fruition, helping to make the VMFA one of the 10 most comprehensive museums in the United States. The new architectural arrangement of the museum, which is amazing what they did with the museum, what he has done and what the trustees have done. This new architectural arrangement of the museum and the current logical, keyword here is logical, display of the permanent collections have set new aesthetic and intellectual standards for all art museums. Moreover, the museum is now open 365 days a year without a general admission charge in a hugely successful effort to expand the size and the diversity of its audience by making the museum more accessible, relevant, and exciting. With the support of the museum's trustees, as well as its curators, other staff members, volunteers, and donors, the VMFA has brought in outstanding exhibitions of art by Picasso, which has already been mentioned, Tiffany, and the Ife people of Nigeria. I tried to say Ife people, but it's the Ife people of Nigeria, plus art owned by India's Maharajas, and the soon-to-be-opened exhibition of the work of Dale Chihuly, magnificent artist in glass. These special exhibitions, along with the museum's own magnificent permanent collection, have made the VMFA an exciting place of constantly changing venues, one that can be visited time and time again. You have to go back to see what's going on. The new vibrancy of the Art Museum has made the city of Richmond and Central Virginia a destination for thousands of people, not only from the rest of the United States, but from throughout the entire world, thus contributing mightily to the economy of the region and the state. Likewise, Alex Nyerges has been a zealous supporter of artists and art organizations, especially in the Richmond region and in Virginia, as well as in other parts of the nation and even the world. Therefore, we finally get to the these and the therefore. Therefore, the Art Council of Randolph-Macon College in Ashland, Virginia is pleased to present to Alex Nyerges on this, the 13th day of September, in the year 2012, the award for achievement in the arts in recognition of all that he has thus far accomplished and in anticipation, Alex, of continuing achievements in years to come. President Lingman, please do the honors.
Thank you, Peter, and thank you, Dr. Lingman. Bob and I did begin the same part of the calendar here in the greater Richmond area, and we've grown together to embrace this community and love this community. This is one of the great places to be, and I don't mean just in Virginia or this country, but anywhere. And I think that Bob would share this heartily with me, that living here is like dying, going to heaven, but you don't have to die. I'm humbled by the award. The relationship between Randolph-Macon and the Virginia Museum goes back decades, sharing exhibitions that they've had on their campus of artists that work at the Virginia Museum. In exchange, we provide all sorts of materials. We have so many students that have made visits, countless visits to the Virginia Museum over the years, that we have a great kinship between our institutions. But my success, which is wonderful to reflect on tonight for a moment, is really the success of everybody in this room, and particularly the many folks who have been so involved in the Virginia Museum, some for years, some for decades. I see Dr. Claiborne here. He was the chair of the building committee, and because of Hobie, we picked the right architect. I only inherited a plan. I had to get the building built, but I inherited a great plan because they did the right thing. They stuck with the program and knew that they could only do it one way, which was the right way. There are a number of other trustees and lots of donors here. Pam Reynolds, who is the president of the Board of Trustees for 3 years and opened the building, led the charge to make this institution one of the 10 largest and best comprehensive art museums in America. And that didn't happen easily. And I'm going to echo the thanks to Nyerges for tonight, but for everything they've done. And a small aside, John Luke will admit that one of the reasons that Nyerges moved to Richmond was that I moved from Dayton before they did. Okay, it's a lie, John, I'm sorry. But if you ask John, why Richmond? There's so many other places. Let me encapsulate why Nyerges, why we're here today, and why we get to celebrate the arts. Richmond, as a region, is finally coming of age. 6 years ago, every time somebody had a reference in print or on the media, electronic media about Richmond, was about history. We've got a great history, one we should celebrate. But it was always Richmond, comma, the former capital of the Confederacy, comma. And it would talk about a restaurant or a new exhibit at the Art Museum or something else. Today, Richmond is being embraced and lauded for its artistic achievements. We've got the Carpenter Center right around the corner. We have the Visual Arts Center, which is expanding. We have so many things, the programs that happen at Randolph-Macon. Of course, the Virginia Museum, the symphony now has a new home and is so much better than ever before. The ballet, and I could go on and on and on. But Richmond is becoming a capital of the arts, and all of you are participants in that. The Arts Council at Randolph-Macon is part of that mix, making great things happen. So that when people think about Richmond, the first word that's going to come to their mind over and over again as we march through these decades and centuries ahead is really going to be about art. We make a difference. The young people who are coming to Richmond and staying here. What VCU and the other colleges as well as Randolph-Macon have done to create an artistic tradition that's growing by leaps and bounds. Now, I'm going to close by asking all of you to do 3 things. First of all, contribute. Contribute to the arts. Contribute to the Arts Council at Randolph-Macon. Support the ballet. Support the Visual Arts Center. The symphony. You can do support of the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts too. That's okay. But support what you love. Support something with the passion that you know is going to make a change in people's lives. When I see these kids come into the museum by the tens and hundreds of thousands, and I know we're making a difference. We're showing them things that they otherwise would never know. That's why we're open 365 days a year. That's why we're free. We don't want barriers between art and everyone. So that's number 1. Contribute. Contribute your funds, your time, your energy. For all of you who are doing work with the Arts Council at Randolph-Macon, thank you. That's what it takes. Now, number 2, and of course this is preaching to the choir again, participate. Go to an exhibit, go to a gallery, go to a performance, go often, and don't stop going. I was talking to True Luck a little earlier, and True said, Alex, I see you everywhere at art functions. I do that, and my wife Catherine, because we love it. It's what drives us on. And it's great to see people who share our passion. But number 2, participate. Go to programs. Be there. Fill the seats. Fill the galleries. Come to lunch and amuse and look at the beautiful sculpture garden. In fact, now we're getting in that great season where you can sit outside on the balcony and not roast. Do it soon before you freeze. And the third thing I'm going to ask you tonight is about being creative. And for all of you who just got stiff and say, well, wait a second, what's he asking? I want you to think about being creative yourself. Nothing gets you closer to art than trying your own hand at it. And whether it's music or drawing or painting. When we arrived 6 years ago in Richmond, my wife Catherine took her first painting class at the studio school. Now she's down taking a class again, and it's the umpteenth class, this one at the Visual Arts Center. She now has her own studio and paints every day. And she's found a side of her in terms of being able to paint and create that she didn't even know existed. And I say that because she started her career as a musician. She's an accomplished musician, but never having tried her hand in the visual arts. So whether it's a camera or a piece of charcoal, or get some clay, if nothing else, get some clay and try to mold something from it. It will get you closer than you ever knew to things that will excite you and energize you and bring you close to why we're here tonight, which is really about the creative spirit. It's about being able to appreciate those things that are beautiful and awe-inspiring. It's art. It comes in so many forms. in so many ways, and I'd like you to be a part of it. So in closing, thank you again, Peter, thank you, Bob, thank you all who support Randolph-Macon and the Virginia Museum and this great, great